My sister told me I was toxic to the family. My dad nodded and said maybe it was better if I disappeared for a while. So I did. No goodbye. Just gone. A week later, I had 14 voicemails, all frantic, and a text from my uncle that said the bank was foreclosing on the house. I was the youngest of three. My sister Brooke was the oldest. My brother Tyler was the middle. Growing up, I was the one who got called for everything. Fix the fence, drive mom to her appointments, help dad with the bills when business was slow. I never complained because that's what I thought family was. I started working when I was 16, and by 22, I had a decent job in construction management. My parents owned their house, but it had a second mortgage on it from when dad's store went under. They couldn't make the payments. I stepped in. For 4 years, I paid $1,900 a month toward that second mortgage. Not a loan, not an investment, just straight out of my paycheck because dad asked and I said yes. Brooke didn't contribute a dollar. She made more money than I did working in pharmaceutical sales, but every time the subject came up, she said, I have my own bills. Tyler was even worse. He borrowed $6,000 from my parents, never paid it back, and then asked me for another $2,000 on top of it. I said no, and he stopped talking to me for 3 months. The problem started at my mom's birthday dinner. I brought a date. Her name was Keely. We'd been seeing each other for about 2 months. Brooke didn't like her from the second she walked in. She made little comments all night. That's an interesting outfit. And so what do you do? Like for a real job? Keely was a tattoo artist. She made good money, but Brooke looked at her like she was trash. After dinner, I pulled Brooke aside and told her she was being rude. She said, I'm looking out for you. That girl is not on your level. I said, my level? You haven't paid a single bill in this house and you're talking about levels? That's when things blew up. Brooke went to dad and told him I disrespected her in front of everyone. I didn't. I pulled her aside specifically to avoid a scene. Dad called me the next day. He said, your sister is upset. You need to apologize. I said, for what? She insulted my girlfriend all night. He said, Brooke's just protective. I said, she was rude and you know it. 2 days later, there was a family dinner I wasn't told about. I found out from Tyler, who accidentally mentioned it. I called dad and asked why I wasn't invited. He said, we thought it would be better to give things a chance to cool down. I said, cool down from what? I told Brooke she was being rude. That's it. The following Sunday, I went over to return a tool I'd borrowed from the garage. Brooke was there. She looked at me and said, you've been toxic to this family for a long time. Always holding money over everyone's heads. Always acting like you're better than us because you help out. I said, I pay the second mortgage on this house every month. I've never held that over anyone. She said, you just did. Right now. I looked at dad. He was sitting in his recliner. He didn't look at me. He said, maybe it's better if you take some time. Disappear for a while. Let everyone breathe. I stood there for about 10 seconds. Then I said, okay. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I went home, opened my banking app, and canceled the auto payment on the second mortgage. Then I turned off my phone for 3 days. When I turned it back on, I had 14 voicemails. The first 4 were from dad. The tone went from annoyed to confused to panicking. He said he got a call from the bank about a missed payment. He said he didn't have the money to cover it. He said he needed me to call him back right away. The next 3 were from my mom. She was crying in the last one. She said, I don't know what happened, but please call your father. Tyler called twice. First time he said, bro, something's going on with the house. Dad's freaking out. Second time he said, why aren't you answering? Brooke called 5 times. The first message was calm. She said, hey, can you call dad? I think there's a billing issue. The second one was sharper. I don't know what you did, but fix it. The third one, she was yelling, you can't just stop paying. This is mom and dad's house. The fourth and fifth were just breathing and hanging up. Then I got a text from my uncle Ray. It said, your dad just told me the bank is starting foreclosure proceedings. What's going on? I didn't respond to any of them. I let a full week pass. Then I called dad. He answered on the first ring. He said, where have you been? The bank is threatening to take the house. I said, you told me to disappear. He said, I didn't mean like this. I said, you didn't say what you meant. You just said go. So I went. He asked me to start the payments again. I said no. He said, this is your mother's home. I said, then Brooke can pay for it. She said I was toxic. He had nothing to say to that.